Hey guys, before we start the video, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there. This is a very long video, and while we covered every single brawler in the game, I realize not everyone's going to be able to watch the entire thing because it's like almost an hour long. So if there's specific brawlers you want to hear about, I'm going to leave timestamps down in the description, and you can just jump right to those brawlers. But I highly recommend watching the entire thing because it's a really good conversation, I think. Anyway, let's just get into the video. Hey YouTube, Jam here, and welcome back to the gaming station. So today we're going to be trying something different. We're going to be doing a podcast video, style video I should say, and we got Triple J on the line. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Jam? Glad to be on the channel. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks. So if you guys don't know, Triple J, he's a YouTuber. He's got almost 2,000 subscribers. I will put a link to his YouTube in the description, and he's just recently gone pro. How's that going for you, by the way?
It's going really good. Teammates are on vacay now, so we're taking a little bit of a break. But no, it's still going great. Love the team. Love playing with them.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're not doing any scrims or anything like that at the moment?
At the moment, no, because they're been on vacay. But no, we've been getting some serious scrims in over the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty fun. It's just we need more consistency, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing, especially when competitive. Just a quick question: is there a huge difference between being like the top of ladder warrior and doing competitive scrims?
There is. Now, I think people, to be honest, now if you're a ladder warrior and you're really good at the game, like you should be proud of yourself. Like it's not what everyone says, but it is different in the fact that every comp that you're used to using that can get countered, and if you bring the best comp into ladder games, that's not going to be the answer because there's no such thing as a best comp because they'll just bring a counter comp to the so-called best comp, and you're going to be screwed. So you got to know how to use multiple comps.
Right. So like obviously like Sprout's got his counters, and even though he's a super strong brawler, people are going to bring Mortis just to counter your Sprout if they think you're going to bring him. Yeah. So that stuff happens. Just a little profile for you. You've pushed pretty much every brawler at least over 1,000 or at least to 1,000 trophies, right?
Yeah, except for the new ones, Nani and Surge. But yes, besides them.
Right. All right. So just to preference that, I got Triple J on the line today so that we can go over tips for all the brawlers because I actually had that as a request for one of my 100 sub specials. So I guess the first brawler we want to start with Triple J is Shelly. We'll go with the most basic one, right?
Sure. Yeah, just match up against. Sorry, am I free?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Shelly, you want to match up with just about all the tanks because let's be honest, she's not very good in the meta. Except if you're up against tanks, then she does very, very well. So just make sure you're telling your teammates, you know, I need to be able to on those tanks or I can't really do anything. Right.
Because her poke damage is absolutely horrible, and you don't want to try to get into a long range fight with anyone else. Randomly question. I'm just gonna ask you this: do you think that new gadget she's gonna have coming out? Do you think that's gonna help her at all?
I think it will like help her a little bit, but I think she needs a lot of work to make her become like top 10, top 8, top 5 meta again.
Right.
But it's gonna help, I think.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever gonna be a top 10 brawler just because she's the starter, and the devs have pretty much made it clear that because she's the first brawler, they don't want her to be super meta.
That's understandable. You know?
Yeah, I get it. She should at least be viable in some maps and modes. I mean, other than Brawl.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So we'll just jump on to the next one. Nita.
You want to use that gadget wisely. A lot of people will just burn them very early, and you only get 2 uses, and they can be completely game-changing in Brawl Ball. Just about any game mode, to be honest. I mean, you can go for solo gadgets as well, but when they group together, that's kind of almost just asking to get gadgets on. So just use them wisely. Don't use them too early when you can't even get kills.
Yeah. I think Hyper Bear is like way better for the gadget.
Yes, way better.
So, and actually, she's only viable in Heist when she has Hyper Bear. And, but like Brawl Ball, I love playing Nita because she can just get so much value from her bear and her normal attacks because people tend to clump up there. All right, Colt.
Colt, you want to use Slick Boost. Now, you can use Magnum Special if you're going up against like a really long-range map, but I've played both of them. When I'm focusing, obviously, I can play at a high level with Colt. I can actually auto-aim a lot of my shots with Slick Boost just by mirroring their attacks with that 11%, I believe, movement speed increase. So you want to go with maps that are more condensed, so you can use this star power because it's so much more user friendly. Just auto aiming a lot of your shots when they're 5 to 6 tiles away. It's very very easy to just charge up your super to just kind of wreck the whole team.
Wow, that's actually not what I was gonna think you were gonna say. Use slick boots instead of Magnum Special, huh?
Yeah, that's what I like to use.
I actually only have slick boots, so I guess that's good for me.
Nice, perfect, perfect, man, perfect.
All right, this brawler's probably not the best right now. Bull.
Bull, now, we all know Pika is just outstanding at Bull. Now, Bull, people, I can't exactly remember how many tiles exactly that super does cover, but it does cover quite a bit, and sometimes you're closer to the enemy than you want to travel with that super, you know what I mean? So sometimes you can use those walls to stop your super before the full, extension of your super. So don't be afraid, like if they're only a few tiles away from you, that's fine. Just hit the wall first, and then you're right on top of them. Some people will just blow right past their enemy when they could have just stopped themselves on that wall.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. And I know I actually did an interview with Pika like when I first started, and he told me that you want to make sure you crash into the wall and then try to get the kill, because you'll almost always charge your super right back up. And if you watch
he's insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you watch him play, he does that all the time. He'll crash into a wall, kill somebody, and then dive right back out. It's so crazy.
He's unbelievable. Yep. Unbelievable.
All right, Jessie.
So this kind of does have to go with Energizer, because Jessie is kind of just just a regular shooting brawler. But a lot of people, when they're playing her, they'll just throw their turret out. If you're gonna throw it in an aggro position, make sure you do it when you have all 3 of your attacks, so you can give it 2,400 health. That's gonna put it over 6,000 health for a little turret. If you're gonna put it like behind your defensive position, which I don't even recommend you do anyway, you don't really need to use this tip. But a lot of people will use it in a more aggro position, so make sure you're doing it when you have all 3 of those attacks. Because if you don't have that healing ability in your back pocket, they're just gonna take it out in a couple of shots, and it won't really do that much damage.
Wow, that's actually that's something I don't think about when you have Energizer. Make sure you're just hitting the turret all the time as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really annoying when you're healing it up the whole time, and it's great.
Yeah, I think that second star power she's gonna get, where it doubles the speed, I think that's gonna break that turret. It's gonna make it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot like Hyper Bear, but you actually are gonna get 3 uses a match, which is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Of course, it's kind of difficult to get your super with Jessie sometimes, because her projectiles are so hard to land sometimes, especially when people know how to dodge.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, on to one of the better brawlers in the meta. So I'm going to talk about Brock now.
Love Brock. Okay, so with Brock, you always do want to fire 2 shots at the same time. Kind of like, think of it almost like one to the left and one to the right. You want to almost keep them in the middle. 90% of the time, now if you're playing up against pro players, sometimes they are able to get out of both of them, but it's very hard even for pro players. You're going to hit at least one. And a lot of times I'm finding myself hit at least, or both of them, because they're going to try and dodge your first one, but then they're going to just automatically run right into the second one on the right side. So just make sure you're firing 2 out at the same time, and you're, like I said, 90% going to hit at least one.
Yeah, so you basically want to take away their ability to dodge it if possible.
Yeah.
And then I think another thing is make sure you're getting value out of your super. Make sure you're breaking walls and killing, or trying to get at least a kill with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And then one thing I like to do when I play Brock is I like to use my my gadget kind of aggressively. If a squishy brawler gets near me, I'll jump into their face and then burst them down.
Yeah, it is harder with his slight. I'm still upset about that health decrease, but yeah, it is harder with that, but you can still definitely get that done if they're lower on HP,
Right. What star power do you like better for him normally?
Now, I said this in a video that I liked Incendiary better, and I still do like that instead of Heist, but now that I play more competitive, I've been loving that rocket number 4. If it's not a bushy map and it's not Heist and you don't want to just give more area denial, I love having that extra rocket slot, because as I said, I want to fire 2 at a time. You can have 2 of those, quick 2 taps at a time. I just think that's really, really good. So I'm going with rocket number 4 a lot more now, to be honest.
Yeah, I see the value in Heist and Siege, and area denial for tight maps, but with your strategy, like you said, with the shooting 2 shots at once, that definitely works a lot better with rocket number 4.
For sure.
All right, next one up, Dynamike.
Okay, so guys, I know this is gonna be rough, but don't use that jumping star power unless you're Lukey Bear, Chippy, or somebody that can get insane value out of it. That extra 1,000 damage you can get with Demolition is just about insane. to be honest. And how you do want to use that is make sure you're throwing that super on not your lane or your matchup, because if you're walking up as the other opponent, they're not even going to be paying attention to you. They're going to be paying attention to their one-on-one interaction, and they're not going to be expecting this entire flying super coming at them. And you're just going to one-shot just about every single time. So just make sure you're using it like not on your lane, because you're going to hit it like all the time.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice, because you're just throwing 4,000 damage right into their lane, and they're not going to expect it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great.
It's fun. I was just thinking when you said don't use Giant Jump. It's funny how Brock can jump. I know obviously it's his gadget, but Brock can jump and it makes him insane. But because Dynamike's is so much a higher skill cap, you don't really want to use it unless you're like super good with it.
If you're good with it, then use it, because it can be game changing. But I've seen so many people just kill themselves because they've just missed their jumps, and that's just, it's not ideal.
Dude, you're talking to me. I live in the 550 trophy range. I see it all day long.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, it's frustrating to see that. It's funny.
All right, Bo.
So if you are an experienced Bo, you can move to the left as you shoot your shots. It will be more of a kind of a direct line, but I kind of do recommend moving to the right. It's more of a spray type manner when you do make it more of a clockwise rotation, because you're going with his movement, right? So move to the right when you shoot, so you're making it a spray effect, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to dodge your shots, and you miss shots if you're spraying it rather than going in a direct line. And that's going to give you more stun mines, and those stun mines can be completely game-changing in the meta right now.
Right, especially with that new tripwire ability.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable right now. It's crazy. If you guys don't have that, try and get it, because that thing is broken right now.
Yo, that's messed up, because like you're trying to trigger the mines, and then he just activates his gadget, and then you're stuck.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Moving to the right consistently too much is almost a bad thing, though, because it's going to make you easy to predict your movements, like when you're attacking, because they're going to know you're going to want to spray your bullets or your arrows.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's why, like, you can start going to the left as well, but if you want for sure taps on those mines, then, you know, moving to the right is going to be your best ability. But yeah, you're right too.
Yeah, that's just the first thing I thought, but I get what you're saying, though. Make your shots land consistently, that way you get your mines. All right, we'll move on to Tick now.
So I actually got this from my manager, actually, from Knights of Brawl, and it actually works fantastically. So you actually want to fire 2 shots at once, similarly to Brock. Well, what you want to do with these ones is the first one, you want to fire where you don't want them to be, and the second one, you want to fire where they currently are. I'm sorry, not where they are, where you don't want them to be, where you don't want them to go. So that means they're forced to go somewhere back, to the right, to the left, wherever that's okay where you want them to go. Because if they come towards you, you're going to be in a very bad situation. So it's either they go away from your mines and you're okay with that, or they go literally right towards where you don't want them to go, and they're going to eat like 5,000 damage, because Tick does ridiculous damage. So it's pretty broken.
I'm still a fan of them nerfing Tick's damage if they ever want to do that. So basically,
yeah, that automatic reload is really, really strong with him.
I know, I wish I had it. So basically, you want to use his mines to deter enemies. You want to use it basically to control the map, not necessarily do damage if you don't have to, but you want to make sure they're not able to move up without taking damage.
Yeah, it's really strong. I kind of slept on Tick a little bit. I've seen him a couple of times recently with that star power of that increase in reload speed, and he's pretty strong, guys. It's pretty strong, to be honest.
I know, I was just playing some Bounty with him earlier, and I hate Bounty, but playing Tick on Canal Grande is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun, not to lie.
All right, my least favorite brawler now, 8-Bit.
8-Bit, obviously he's not that great, but to be honest, so the one tip they do have for you guys that can be game changing is he does have now a teleportation device that does not break his super any longer. So you can go for those, risky plays by throwing your turret around the corner of a wall and teleporting through a couple of wall tiles. But what I really recommend doing is you can actually, so if you die and you have that turret in a spot like behind your wall, you can teleport like 10 tiles and get right back into the action as soon as you died. It's really, really useful to do that, because it's like you didn't die. It's not like you lost your lane. Just teleport right back into the battle, and you're right back to your mid position or lane or whatever you were at. Yeah,
that's really good that he can do that. It's almost like, it's a lot like the reason why Gale's so strong is because it makes it so you have no downtime if you use, whether you're using his teleport or Gale's jump pad.
Yeah, and I've seen some pretty cool plays. I've actually seen him, believe it or not, inside of a couple of competitive matches on a gem grab map. So don't be afraid to use him in inside of like long lane because he does do a lot of damage and he has a lot of fun with the teleport, but he's just so slow.
Yeah, that's my big thing is I try to retreat like a lot if I have to, and because his speed, I get stuck in bad spots, especially with randoms.
For sure.
Especially with randoms, they all die. All right, so Ems is the next brawler I got on my list.
Not too much to say about Ems. I mean, it's very easy to play Ems. Just you have to match up against tanks or kind of the same thing as we said earlier with Shelly. Match up against tanks, but don't overcommit. A lot of people like randoms, like you were saying down low, they'll overcommit and just run up into tank's face, and they won't be able to get away. Just keep your distance, keep your presence known, and just keep spraying at tanks, and you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, it's crazy how much that gadget carried her because now she was one of the best brawlers in the game, and now she just dropped so hard. I mean, she still has uses.
It's really difficult.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say she still has uses and she's still really good and she can still take out a lot of brawlers, but it's just once people get in her face, she can't do anything really.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move on to the rare brawlers now. So my first one is gonna be Primo.
So Primo, when you actually jump, so this is gonna be, I guess, a tad like Tara. When you jump on somebody that is very low on HP, you're gonna not get a lot of your supercharge back up at all. Now, sometimes, yes, you are gonna have to make those plays like in Brawl Ball or when someone has a bolt in Siege or something like that, yes. But for the majority of the time, you really kind of want to jump on somebody that has more HP or has full HP because then you can get your super just right back. And as we all know, Primo, it probably struggles the most with charging up his super. So just look for opportunities to jump on full HP brawlers. And sometimes you can actually let the enemy, it's kind of toxic if you think about it this way, but you can actually let the enemy regen a little bit, then jump on them. And it really didn't hurt you at all. All it did was add you more supercharges. So just make sure you're looking for your next super as you're using your current super.
All right, so try to make sure you're focusing on people that have a lot more health when you have your super.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Primo's a lot stronger when he does have a super. And I will say, I love Primo's gadget. The other day I was playing Heist.
Yes.
This is actually in one of my videos I just put up the other day. I was playing Heist, and there was a bull on my safe. Or no, I was on their safe, and I was just tossing them everywhere to get them away from me so I could stay on the safe. It was hilarious. You couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, people underestimated that thing. That thing is a really strong gadget. It counters a lot of brawlers,
Right, because as soon as somebody gets close to Primo, you can just chuck them away and move on.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, what do you have a preference for star powers for Primo? Because personally, I think it depends on the game mode a lot, but I like, I actually like the speed one a lot.
It's really frustrating because I love the speed one so much when it first came out. They've nerfed it, I think, 5 or 6 times. It's been ridiculous how many times they've nerfed that thing. And at this point, I do like the Meteor Rush better. But if you are in Brawl Ball, I still think Meteor Rush is going to be your go-to because, speed in Brawl Ball obviously is so key. That's why Max is broken in that mode. So yeah, I like Meteor Rush in just Brawl Ball, but everything else I like the other star power.
Yeah, speed in general I think is broken. Just any brawler that gets a speed boost is going to be broken. Like look at Bibi. You look at Rico's speed star power, it makes him so much better. Jacky, any brawler that's going to get a speed boost is going to be a lot stronger automatically, I think.
I agree.
All right, next one up, Barley.
So for Barley, you want to use that super simply for area denial. Now, sometimes, you can get away with using it on a safe if people are clumped together. You can get it right back. But really, that super is just so good for area denial. It used to be more of a condensed super. If you remember, you could do like 30 or 40% on like an Ike or, in Siege or Heist or whatnot. But now, since it is more expanded and it covers more range, you do want to use it as a simple area denial. It's think of it almost like a sandstorm. You can push them all back, get your team control back.
Yeah, I remember those days, because I wasn't a beta player. I played when Global Release came out, and they didn't fix that at that time, and Barley was my favorite in Heist, because Heist is my favorite game.
It was so broken, man.
And do you remember Bridge Too Far? That was my favorite map ever.
No, I actually didn't play a lot of Heist until recently, to be honest.
Okay, so Bridge Too Far was my favorite map, and I would always win my lane. I'd run right up to the safe, drop my super there, and then back right out, and I would win we'd win in like a minute. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's insane they let that go on so long, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yep. But yeah, use the super as a big area denial, and then I love his gadget too, the slowing one.
It's actually really strong. It used to be awful, but now that they got that buff, I really like it. It's a very useful gadget.
Yeah, especially when people try to get too close to him, because that's where he struggles, because he's got no health and he doesn't have the speed to get away.
Yeah.
All right, on to this is actually my favorite brawler, Poco.
Poco. Okay. Another simple brawler like Ems. I mean, you just want to. Now, people, you see randoms, you see Screeching solo, but to be honest, he's just an okay brawler without the capo. So, I mean, I don't really recommend going with Screeching solo unless you want to push him to 600-700 with randoms, which, I don't like to play with randoms personally. So, use the capo and just make sure you're getting all that value out of that healing because he is so broken right now, guys, inside of the meta. So, make sure you're using the capo and those gadgets. Try and get maximum value with your shots as well as your healing because if you have that constant healing on Franks, on Darryls, on Jackies, it's going to be very tough to stop.
Yeah, you think about it. If you get your gadget and your decapo on a tank, they're healing, was it like 1200 every time you shoot at them, plus the 500 from your.
Yes, for sure. It's ridiculous.
Yep. I actually think decapo should be. This is going to sound terrible. It should be part of his normal kit because he's such a better brawler with it.
Yeah, it's really good, no doubt.
Yeah, because I never really liked him until I got decapo, and then once I got it, it like changes him as a brawler because he had so much more value to your team. All right, on to Rosa, another low skill brawler.
So Rosa, obviously, auto aiming is probably going. Besides Primo, she's probably going to be the most auto aim friendly brawler in the game. But pretty much, you just want to be sneaky in bushes, either that you've planted or that's just automatically spawned on the map. Because that's just kind of what you want to use. She does have, I believe, a 3 to 4 tile range, attack range, which, to be honest, for a tank, that's a really, really long range. So you can get away with not sneaking up to them as close as you would, necessarily to a Primo. So yeah, just use them to sneak up, and then once you're in range, you're just going to be able to auto aim them to death.
Right. Yeah, you just hide and then pop out, get your kill, and back out. All right, Rico.
So Rico is a very high skill brawler. So what I recommend doing, the number one tip I have is analyze the map you're going to be playing on before you're playing. Now, if you're playing just to play him on a map that isn't ideal for him, this maybe isn't going to be as ideal for you. But what makes Rico really, really good is his ability to be able to hit people around walls that other brawlers wouldn't normally be able to hit. So analyze that map, look for those bounces that are going to be really ideal, look for places that enemies are going to hide and where you can get really, really cool bounces at. Quick funny story, I was playing in comp the other day and this guy was hitting ridiculous bounce shots on me. I didn't even think these ricochets were actually possible inside of this heist map, and he was hitting them. So just make sure you're looking at that map, looking for those opportunities to hit people behind walls.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the highest skill cap brawlers in my opinion, is learning how to bounce your shots with Rico, especially if you're running super bouncy.
Yeah, you can do some serious work.
Yep. Do you have any tips about getting better with landing your bounce shot, or is it just a practice thing?
Obviously, the more you play him, the better you're going to get with him, but it's kind of just knowing where to shoot and where the bounces are going to go. I struggle with him a lot, and so I pushed him to 1K. Now, I'm still not the best Rico, don't get me wrong, but it's honestly just, knowing what the ricochet is going to do on that particular map, and just in general as a Rico. So just the more you play him, the better you're going to get with knowing where the bounces are going to go.
Yep, so just practice makes perfect, obviously.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, moving on to the next super rare. It's going to be Darryl.
This might be a little bit more simple than a lot of people would think, but I don't think people use this as good as they should. So Darryl, once he does have a super, that is kind of a game-changing super. It is maybe not as good as a Taurus, but it is a completely game-changing super. And unless you're, really close to a goal in Brawl or something like that, or maybe you can go on a high safe, make sure you're using them to just get kills, because if you do use that role and you bump that enemy player that you're rolling on, that's an automatic kill right there, and it's 3v2 advantage for your team. So just make sure you're almost thinking of him as an assassin, because a 3v2 advantage is really, let's be honest, that's what we're all looking for inside of games, is a 3v2, and that gives him a 3v2 right there every single time you get your super. So think of him more as like an assassin.
Yeah, especially with the auto charging super. So if you can wait, get your super, and then roll in, get your kill. Yep, I think that's why Darryl has played a lot more in competitive than Bull, especially for heist, because Darryl gets his super automatically, and even though they do similar damage and have similar range, because Darryl can get his super without even seeing anybody, that's why he gets played.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's what makes him so fun too. He's the only brawler in the game that auto. Well, I guess Max does with a star power, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Do you prefer rolling reload or steel hoops for Darryl?
So I always use steel hoops. I actually like that super star power now better than before because you can literally roll through anything. You can roll through a Shelly super, whatever you want to roll through. 90% damage reduction is kind of ridiculous. And then once you get out of your roll, I mean, then obviously it is gone. But I don't know. I always use that no matter what mode I'm on. You can, I guess, use rolling reload in heist. But I still like the shield even in heist because sometimes you'll get destroyed during your roll, you know, and that wouldn't have happened if you used the shield.
Right. I guess it's less toxic now because you can't roll into a 3v1 situation, and especially now that you've got that gadget too. So you can't roll into a 3v1 situation and win anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll move on to Penny.
Penny, look for players or spawnables to bunch up. Now, obviously, brawlers, if you're playing, you know, decently high, they're not going to all just stack on top of each other. But you're going to see a lot of spawnables right now are meta, mainly that Mr.P. Gotta love Mr.P. But mainly Mr.P. you're going to see really high up in ladder. Just about every game, you're going to see him as well. So make sure you're using that. And to be honest, those are actually ideal for Penny because they'll let her do twice as much damage to brawlers behind them. So try and use those spawnables and or brawlers that are bunching up together to get that maximum value and damage out of your shots.
Yep, try to get value out of the coin splash. That is funny that you mentioned, you know, aiming at spawnables and try to get the right angle to hit hit players from the spawnables.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're laned against like a Pam, Mr.P.
Yeah, the Pam can be really toxic for their other team. You know, just hit that thing because it's stationary too. You don't even have to aim. So
right. Do you prefer balls of fire or last blast?
I always personally will use balls of fire, but I've seen some people destroy siege ikes. Like we were actually scrimming this team. We destroyed the other team. They didn't get a single bot. I think they got 2 bullets the whole game. We lost that game, getting 3 ikes, simply because they had a penny on our enemy ike. So it was insane. So in certain heist maps, yes, probably go with not the balls of fire, the other one that you were saying.
Last
but
blast.
in other, besides heist, I'd go with balls of fire.
Yeah, I think the area denial from balls of fire is amazing, but the fact that last blast can be activated with her gadget now, there's good synergy there, and it can be used for sure.
Yep.
All right, on to another high skill cap brawler. We're going to talk about Jacky.
So Jacky, literally the only thing that I'd say is skilled about her is her gadgets, and now that it's even harder to use them because they gave it I believe it was a 33% decrease in her speed, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really low now. It's not even that big of a deal, that speed increase. So you just have to kind of be really sneaky with it, and it's all about timing with those gadgets. You have to wait until they're closer to you than before, and then once they are pretty close to you, then you do want to use that gadget. But it is a lot harder to use those gadgets now than before with that obvious speed decrease.
Yeah, so just be a little more aware of like where people are before you pop your gadget.
Yeah.
I think that was the right nerf for it though, because it was toxic when it was like 30-something%. Now it's at 20-something. I think it's a lot better.
For sure. It still can be used, but it is a lot harder to use. But I agree with you.
Yeah, I said this before. Jacky is a difficult brawler for them to balance because she's so simple, and it's very, very easy to over nerf her. So I think she's okay right now. I don't think she needs to be nerfed again. She might need a little buff, but like I said, it's too easy to make her overpowered or underpowered.
I agree. It's not a very straight line. It's really hard.
Yeah, I get they wanted to make an easy brawler, but I think they overdid it with the simplicity of her.
Mm-hmm. True.
All right. Let's talk about Carl now.
Carl's so good in the meta, and I love Carl right now. But yeah, so the big tip that I have for you is, I know it's going to be pretty simplistic, but I don't think people really use it as much as they can. Use walls to shorten that pickaxe range. He has a really long range, so if you let that entire thing fly back and forth, it's going to take a couple of seconds before you get the your pickaxe back. And there's so many walls. When I'm playing Carl, I can probably get walls to my advantage probably like 80% of the time. And when I'm playing Carl, so just make sure even a tile or a half a tile or 2 tiles that you can shorten that pickaxe range is going to help you significantly. So just make sure you're looking for those opportunities to get your pickaxe back and fire another shot.
Yep. So make sure you're bouncing your pickaxe off walls. That's something I was playing Carl the other day, and it's something I didn't realize I wasn't doing until I don't know, halfway through my push, and I was like, I should be trying to bounce these shots.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they end up auto-aiming a lot on Carl, because obviously you're going to hit shots, but then whenever it's time to really, someone's in your face and you can use a wall to do some insane damage, they're so used to auto-aiming that they're just going to naturally auto-aim when they could have gotten so much more value out of it, you know what I mean?
Right. Do you prefer power throw or protective pirouette?
I love protective pirouette, but right now in the meta, power throw is just where it's at. Just with these gadgets and so many supers that would counter his super, it's just not, his super isn't that good right now.
Yeah, you think about it. Any knockback's gonna cancel it. Primo can throw him out of it. Any pull, Gene, especially with Gene being so meta as always.
Yeah. So.
All right. We're gonna get into the epics now. Piper is the first one on my list.
So Piper, she can do some significant damage, and it's amazing to use her. But if you can't land your shots, then she's pretty much useless inside of the meta. But so pretty much what you want to do is you want to analyze your opponent's dodging patterns. A lot of people just fire out these random shots. Sometimes they'll even auto aim because they're frustrated they can't hit their shots. Just take a step back. If you're missing some shots, just take a step back. Look at what your opponent is doing. Analyze their patterns, because a lot of time in ladder, people have a normal dodging mechanic. There's not like multiple patterns that they use. Analyze a little bit, see where they're going, and then you have a better idea of where they're going to go and what direction they're going to take, and then go up forward and start trying to use that already planned dodging mechanic to your advantage.
Yeah, I think obviously that's like one of the hardest things about Piper's landing her shots. That's why I'm so terrible, because I can't aim. I don't know if you noticed, but all my favorite brawlers are super low skill cap.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm aware of how I am as a player. Okay.
I understand, man. I got weaknesses too. We all do.
Right. All right. Next one, we got Pam.
So Pam, another brawler that's kind of just player. But the one thing that I can say about her is put your turret behind you, put it in a more defensive position. You'll see some people, because you do want to body block sometimes, with spawnables. A lot of people will do that, but with Pam, that's not something you want to do. If you have that turret alive, constant gadgets, constant healing, you're going to really win your lane. And when you see somebody put that behind or in front of them, you're going to easily take it out. And if you're a Pam with a turret and you have another Pam without a turret, you're obviously going to win that 100% of the time, that matchup. So just put it behind you.
Yeah. Especially with her gadget. So if it's behind you, you can, when you're backing out after you get low on health, you can use your gadget and get right back into the fight quicker.
For sure.
Do you prefer Mama's Hug or Squeeze better?
Right now, I like Mama's Hug. It's so easy to win 1v1s with that extra healing. And also, Jacky isn't as in the meta as it was, but I don't like to use Mama's Squeeze because you want to put it up behind the wall, right? And Mr. P being meta, Jacky sometimes being meta. It's so easy to take out an aggressive turret position.
Right. I will say the only mode I think that Mama's Squeeze would be better is maybe Hot Zone, but that's about it.
That's true. I don't play Hot Zone, so I wouldn't know that one.
Well, you won't play it.
I'm still trying to get used to that.
I was going to say, you're not going to play it until they bring it in competitively, so.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, next one's going to be Frank.
So Frank, this is just a side note. You can actually gadget a gene pull after the gene pulls you. So if you hit your gadget immediately as the gene hits you or after, you're going to stop that pull. That's a very good use of your gadget. But besides something similar to that, you want to always use your gadgets only when you super. A lot of the time you'll see a Frank run out of gadgets like a minute in or a half a minute in because he just doesn't really know what he's doing. And then the other Frank is going to win that encounter every single time because his supers are always going to go through. He's going to counter the other Frank's gadgets. So be kind of conservative with your gadgets because that Frank is amazing when you have gadgets. So you want to conserve them and use them when you have your super.
You're lucky that you didn't say that on a bigger channel because, bro, obviously the devs aren't going to pay attention to me, and that might get fixed now. On a bigger channel, on a bigger channel, they might catch that gadget glitch.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so just be aware of like when you're using your gadgets with Frank, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously this goes without saying, but don't feed super.
Yeah.
I find when I play Frank a lot, I'm just dodging half the time. I'm not even attacking because I don't want to, because it's hard to get people in range sometimes, and it's terrible if you feed them super and then they use it on.
Yeah, and then when you do like you said, when you're not in range, you're just randomly, attacking, you're just going to feed the whole time. That's, not what you want to do either.
Right. All right, Bibi's next up.
Bibi, you have to land that first attack. She's very squishy. They've given her several health nerfs. I think she's at like 5,300 or something really low as a tank. That's ridiculously low. She does do a lot of damage, but that knockback ability is really what makes Bibi in meta. You do still see her sometimes, not as much as you did before, but you got to land that first shot. You got to be really careful. You'll see so many people just get so aggro and just miss by like sometimes like an entire 2 tiles that first bat. Just take it easy, relax a little bit, and just hit that first shot to back them up a little bit.
Right. Yeah. The big thing with Bibi is that big attack delay, because you'll do it and then she's got to wind up. That was a huge thing because when I actually left the game when Rosa came out, and when I came back, I got Bibi like the first day, and I was like, how the hell do you play this brawler? Like, doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
but
it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But if you can't land that, then Bibi's just useless as a brawler.
Right. I think they kind of needed to nerf her health, but they've kind of moved her out of a tank role into more of like a mid-range brawler, even though she's got like a shorter range. Do you prefer the speed or the shield power with her star power now?
I really do like that speed because if we play her, I only play her inside of Siege, which she's not even as good in Siege anymore because you'll see a lot more Carls and Maxes in Comp instead of Bibi. But in Brawl, I still normally will use the shield because she's so good. So if you have that 600 health and you have, for her gadget, and you have that shield on top of her, it's going to be really hard to stop her as a goal scorer. So I will use her probably about 90% of the time in Brawl with that shield star power.
Yeah, I would say that shield with her healing is a very good combination there. It's very good synergy.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to B now.
So B's probably the most spammy brawler in the game. You can get away with a lot of auto aiming, but again, when you're up against a real matchup like another B, a Piper, a Brock, or whatnot, you're gonna want to aim at your shots. But if you're not facing somebody that will pierce through like a Tara or a Sandy, or you're a brawler that can hit multiple brawlers through their attack, you do want to use those gadgets as a body block. You can completely save yourself from single targets when you're using them multiple times. So a Piper shot, or if you have a 3K by an enemy B, you can completely tank that out of the way and get rid of it. Because if you guys didn't know, her gadget actually pops out in front of her now instead of behind her, so it's so much easier to tank shots, and that can keep you alive, and probably when you're 1v1 if you use it correctly.
Okay, so use her honeypot as a shield.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I kind of hate B. She's very annoying.
Yeah, she is.
And I'm terrible. Obviously, I'm terrible as her, so that's another thing. All right. Next up, we got Nani. I haven't played her a lot, so I have her at like 60 trophies, so I need some advice here.
So I love Nani. That buff they gave her, believe it or not, that simple slight buff that they just gave her, made her meta. Now you see her a lot inside of Calm now, a lot of gem grab maps, a lot of gems, sometimes Brawl as well. That extra range is ridiculous. Now the one tip that I do have for her though, and the main one, is always look to teleport. Now sometimes it's going to be ideal to just ram into somebody and just take them out for a 3v2 advantage. Especially when they clump together, you don't want to just teleport inside of Madness because you do have 3,600 HP. But if you can teleport on a lane that's by itself and just get 3 of your auto attacks in and quickly take them out, A, you're going to be almost pinching them from behind, and B, if you guys didn't know, if you guys get 3 attacks off instead of just your super, you're going to charge way more of your super up by doing your regular attacks than just ramming them with your super. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I play with a lot of random nannies, and all they do is sit in the back and they try to charge their super, and then they go and hide and throw their super out. And it's like, you're not even helping the team. What are you doing, man? Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's not what you want to do. That's funny, though.
All right, we're on to the mythics now, and we're going to start with everyone's favorite, Mortis.
So Mortis, the main tip that I have is, I don't know why people have adapted this, but use your super whenever they bunch together. A lot of people, again, I don't know why this has been adapted into the game. They'll use everything first, and then they'll use your super like as a last resort, or like that's my last attack or whatnot. Like, it shouldn't be like that way. You'll see so many amazing Mortis players. Bobby, I was gonna say OG. OG doesn't play Mortis. YD, Bobby are the number 2s that come to my mind. They'll use their bats, their super. I guess it's Sandstorms now if they're using that other skin. But anyway, they'll use their super whenever they. Yeah, that's a great skin. They'll use that whenever they're bunching together. Sometimes they'll use it before they've even used a single dash. So just use it when you're getting maximum value. Just don't wait till the end, because I don't know why it's like that.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for pros. If you watch them, they actually always hit at least 2 people with their bats.
Yeah.
And they use the gadget to normally finish a kill, at least if they got the spinning one. Now I haven't seen any competitive matches with the reloading one, but I think that's going to be kind of busted too.
Yeah, you'll see them do it. There's no specific order to use slashes or gadgets or supers, you know, that people just need to just get value, you know what I mean? No such thing as a correct order.
Right, right, right. All right, on to probably, in my opinion, the best brawler in the game right now, other than Surge, Tara.
Tara is my favorite brawler in the game, over Jean. So I love Tara. The one thing is a lot of people will just go for game-changing pulls, which they're so fun. You'll see them on YouTube. You'll see so many, oh, those are so sick pulls. When you're going for sus guys, you gotta be okay with going for solo pulls. Again, 3v2 advantage is so good for your team. People will just hold pulls when they have a simple solo suck on their lane. And then they'll just throw it out and die anyway. So just go for those solo pulls, because the quicker you get your solo pull out, obviously the quicker you're going to kill them, and then you're going to have a quicker charge of your next super as well. So just go for solo pulls. Obviously, you know, if you see a double pull, go for it, but just don't hold on to it if you do see a solo pull there.
Yeah, it's such a game-changing super, but if you can just do a solo pull and then win your lane and then go help and pinch, it's way better in my opinion.
Yes, for sure, 100%.
Yep. And the worst feeling in the game is missing a pull, so try not to do that.
Yes, I hate that. Oh, it makes me mad for a couple hours when I miss a pull. So
yeah, it happens to me a lot because I suck. Next one up, Max, super good brawler in the meta.
So Max, believe it or not, so this is going to be similar to Slick Boots, but actually better than Slick Boots. You can auto aim a ton of your shots. So she has an insanely quick movement speed, quicker than the Slick Boots star power does for Colt. You can auto aim just about all of your shots just by mirroring where they move. And you're gonna, with that star power that makes you shoot even quicker than you would normally, you're gonna just completely destroy anyone that's on your lane, assuming they don't outrange you. So just go for auto aims and just mirror their movement.
Yeah. So just try to mirror their movement and keep moving, especially if you have running gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so broken of a star power. Even the nerf they gave it, I don't think it was enough, to be honest.
I love Max. She's such a fun brawler to play, and then her voice lines are so funny because she's always like hyped up on energy drink. It cracks me up.
I normally play her in conference, and I get excited when I get to play her because Max is just so fun.
Yeah. All right. Probably another super strong brawler in the game. Probably some people's least favorite. Mr.P.
Mr. P, I don't want to give you guys a tip for it, but I will anyway. Use walls to your advantage, so shouldn't be like that, but you can just hit people behind walls. They can't regen, they can't really back up out of fights because obviously walls mean nothing to a Mr. P. So yeah, just use those walls to your advantage. That first star power does give him that insane range, so you can kind of just outlane anyone you have on your lane because of how much range he has. And then when they go behind walls, just get those nice bound shots and ricochet shots to be able to finish them off.
So I just want to get your opinion on this because I think Mr. P is super star power dependent. He's not a good brawler without his star powers, but if you have either one of them, I think he's a lot better. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's a good brawler with that his super, but if you don't have that added range, you know, on maps that have range, you can't really use him. And then if you have a shorter map, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's even top 7, top 8 without his star powers either. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I said in I released a top 5 brawler in the meta video, and that was one of the things I said about Mr. P is that if you have his star powers,
you're 100% right. 100%.
If you have his star powers, he's super easy, but other than that, you can't really do anything. He's not great, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to Sprout.
So Sprout, the higher you get inside of ladder, and even if you entered comp, it's about pinching as well. It's not just about 1v1 interactions, and you can get away with so much of this with Sprout. Sprout, you can hit people from just about anywhere on the map because of just how his mechanic of his shot is. Walls don't mean anything to him. So just look to your left and look to your right and see, look, if someone's low, does my teammate need help? And just throw your shots over there because, again, you can hit people from wherever you want because of how easy it is to shoot over walls. It's just help pinch a little bit your teammates.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost impossible to miss Sprout shots, even if you don't have overgrowth, because it's so obnoxious how much they bounce. And I feel like he's super broken on those new siege maps, the Olive Branch and Fenced In.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put him in the middle lane, he can basically hit everybody. It's not even fair.
And that's the thing, you know, even with that nerf, those good Sprout players in the game, they can still hit their shots 90% of the time, even without overgrowth. You know, they're still doing 13, 16 a shot, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. All right, next one up, we got Jean.
Jean, love Jean. Auto aim your pulls. I think that's like the fourth brawl I said this about, but you want to mirror their movement, go for up to 6 tile range pulls. I don't really like pulling anything above that, but I mean, if you're Bobby and you can go for those max 7 tile range pulls, go for it. You'll want to aim those though, but go for the 6 tile or less pulls when you're auto aiming, mirror their movement. And once you got them exactly, in front of you and there's a direct line of where you are and where they are, just auto aim that pull and it will hit it every single time.
Yeah, it's funny how you advise that people auto aim their pulls instead of actually manually aiming them. It's funny. You think it'd be opposite,
Yeah.
but whatever. It's just because the hand moves fast enough so you can do it.
Right. Yeah, until they nerf that, just keep auto aiming.
Right,
But they
right.
are going to nerf it, I think.
They're not gonna. They would have done it by now.
You're right. You're right.
All right. We're gonna move on to the legendaries now. We'll start with Spike.
Spike, another really high skill count brawler. You got to know your RNGs, so it actually moves in like a hexagon type shape whenever you're shooting the RNGs. You have to know where they're going because, I mean, most of the time you're going to have to rely on those RNG spikes to be able to hit people because they're going to be backed out of your normal range. So just shoot the normal RNG, and the most common one to hit is slightly. Aim your shot to the left or the right of that target and have that left or right RNG go right for your opponent. But you got to know your RNGs, know your angles, know like behind the walls you can hit, kind of like Rico. And you can get a lot of those RNG shots to hit. That's going to give another super for you.
So just learn the RNG pattern. Do you prefer curveball or fertilizer?
I love fertilizer. I think it's so much fun, so rewarding, and I love the plays you can make. But I mean, on more open maps, I guess curveball is going to be where it's at. But I just personally don't even enjoy playing it. I don't think it's fun as a brawler to play with curveball. But I guess that's the better star power. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate it because it lowers the skill cap, and it's like I know like especially like OG he preaches this a lot is that they shouldn't lower the skill cap of brawlers if they can avoid it, and that's what curveball does.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, we were talking about Jacky, but I don't like something being really, really good and being, low skill capped.
Yeah.
And I think curveball is too good.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Crow.
Crow, I guess he's pretty easy. Just kind of keep your range and chip. But when you're going to use your super, you want to use one of those 2 shield gadgets. I know he did get that new gadget, which, I mean, you can get some value out of it, but it's nowhere near as good as those 2 shield gadgets you do get a game. So when you're going to go into just a bunch of madness, make sure you're using that shield because he's very squishy as a brawler, and you need that shield to put in any work if you're going to jump.
Yeah, especially with considering that Crow's normally a showdown brawler, you're going to want the shield more often than that probably.
For sure.
Because he's not very good in 3v3s right now. I mean, the slow gadget's probably okay for 3v3s if you can poison everybody, but you don't really want to play him at all in 3v3 anyway. All right. On to another showdown brawler. We got Leon.
So Leon actually is a little bit better now with that increase in health from his gadget. He's going to be similar to Bo. Now, his movement speed is obviously tied with the fastest in the game with Mortis, Max, and Crow. And I believe I'm missing another one. But anyway, he has the fastest movement speed in the game. Bibi, yes, thank you. So yeah, you can move to the right as you can with Bo, but it's a lot easier to move to the right with him because you move a lot faster, so it's a lot easier to dodge shots. And obviously the spray is going to be a lot more intense. I'd say it's just about impossible to miss a spray shot with Leon. It's so easy to do that. And then once you get your super, I guess I'm cheating here. This is a second tip. You can do just over 7,300 damage with Leon. Don't sneak up to anyone that has any higher HP than that because you don't want to walk up to someone and not be able to 3-tap them because then you're going to go down.
Yeah, so you want to, if you're going to go in on somebody, you want to go on the mid-range brawlers and the squishy ones like Piper.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you want to focus on throwers, mid-range brawlers like Tara, stuff like that. Do you think he's viable in 3v3s because of the gadget buff?
I think he can be used in just about all ladder. It's very difficult right now, though, because, I mean, I don't think a lot of bros can be using ladder because if you play above 800, all you see every game is Mr.P, Surge, and Gale. So, I mean, I don't think it's just on Leon. Like, I don't think just about any brawler besides Tara and Carl, I'm sorry, can, play up against them. But besides them, I don't think almost anybody can beat that. So it's not like Leon, isn't a good brawler. It's just that those 3 brawlers are so good, nobody can be played. But once they get nerfed, you're going to see a lot more Leons, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm never going to have that problem because I don't think I'm going to get to 800, but
You'll get there. You'll get there.
maybe if you carry me. All right, let's move on to the next legendary. We got Sandy.
There again, I mean, just keep your range with her because, I mean, you have to know. So she can actually stack up a lot of damage. So if you guys didn't know, she does more damage now than she did originally when they released her at 1260. So just make sure you're trying to pierce, stay back a little bit. And the biggest tip that I have though is use your sandstorm when all three of your teammates are alive and when you can get in range of that sandstorm. If one of your teammates are dead, or maybe you're the only one alive, that sandstorm isn't going to provide any value at all because they're not going to respect one person invisible. You have to all three be invisible. So just save your sandstorm till your whole team is up.
Yeah, that's one thing that I struggle with Sandy is knowing when to use my sandstorm because, like, obviously you can hide in it, but making sure all your teammates are up and in the area is a hard thing for me. And I like that you can hide in the sandstorm and use your gadget too to heal up if you get low.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's another thing that people miss a lot with Sandy if you have the gadget.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate the gadget as well. Simple right behind the wall. I mean, you can get that gadget done and healed really, really quickly. And you would have only healed one tick of regular damage with it. And you're full heal with a gadget. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for.
Yeah, I definitely slept on it when it first came out. I thought it was dumb, especially because I really hated it because you get the health after the 2 seconds instead of at the beginning. But
yeah,
if it was at the beginning, it would be busted. All right, we're gonna get into the best two brawlers in the game. First up, we got Gale.
Proper launch pad placements, I'd say. You'll see a lot of people, if they're playing in Heist or Siege, they'll just have that same gadget placement, which that's fine. You're still going to dominate with Gale regardless of that. But a lot of time when you're playing in a mode where you're not playing with all tanks or not, make sure you're getting good launch pad placements where you can get safely behind a wall, behind the opponents. Because if you just randomly just keep jumping on people, I mean, they're going to find a way to counter you. So look for those rare opportunities to be able to quickly jump in and get kills, quickly jump in and pinch, so you can just, pinch the brawlers and get a 3v2 advantage with an easy kill.
Yeah, I definitely think that Gale's super broken right now because of the launch pad, but also because of the shot pattern after they buffed it. I think that was a big mistake on their part.
Yeah, he didn't need, I mean, one of them would have, I mean, I think one of those buffs would have, given him maybe even top 10. Both of them was just way too much.
Yeah, because they gave him the shot pattern change and damage buff, right?
Shot pattern change, and they also have that where his super doesn't blow him away anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they need to work on his gadget. I gave you my idea about his gadget, how it should be treated like a normal turret, and it should be either use based or if it should have a health bar.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool too. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep. All right, and then on to the newest brawler, we got Surge.
So I was actually playing him on stream last night for the first time in months. But yeah, I learned this on that because I don't play Surge, as you guys know. But you can actually travel up to 2 tiles around walls. I tried to do 3, and I was wondering why I couldn't do 3 because I was being a noob about it. Yeah, you can travel 2 tiles through walls. So make sure you know that when you're trying to pinch people and use your teleports. If they go behind a wall that's 2 tiles, that's an easy teleportation. 3 tap them and kill them. And make sure you are counting the damage as well, because you can do 1,500 damage plus with your regular attack. And if they're above 4,500, obviously you don't want to gadget in on them, because you don't want to go down if you have your super in your hand. So yeah, look for those opportunities to teleport in and get those 3 tap kills and get your super.
All right, so for Surge, just look to pay attention to people's health and then blink through walls and burst them down real quick.
Yep.
All right, well, that's all the brawlers. Yeah, thanks for coming on the channel, man, because, I could not have given this advice, and it would not have been nearly as good.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all need to improve on things. I'm not an expert on all 30 of these brawlers either. I can use some work on so many of them as well, but no problem, and I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Yeah, man. All right, well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I want to thank everyone for watching. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know. I'll see if I can get anybody else on the channel. And that's going to do it. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.